All right, let's talk about one of the newest Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Hasson Reddick here, a pass rusher who has had some great success over the years. And I want to kind of talk about what made him good when he was with the Eagles and maybe what went wrong last year with the Jets, and then we'll talk about how it could work for Tampa Bay. So first, the play you see on your screen, he's going to be going up one-on-one against a right tackle here for the Saints. As you see, he's going to do what he often likes to do, which is you see this really wide angle he is taking to get to the quarterback. I mean, he is definitely taking advantage of the space you get as an edge rusher right here, and there are coaches that will disagree about how good of an idea this is. There's obvious advantages and disadvantages to this, right? The disadvantage, one of them being the quarterback could potentially step forward and, be able to run or even just get outside the pocket and have more time to throw. It also could leave you open if it happens to be a running play and you misread it. Now you've gotten yourself out of position, and Reddick isn't the best run defender. That's just true. It also might take you a little bit longer to get to the quarterback, but of course the advantage is you can get to the quarterback consistently if you're good at this move, which Hasson Reddick is. Watch as he does get around, ultimately does get to Andy Dalton on that play. And one reason why he was such a perfect fit with the Eagles is they have that really good interior, right? So I talk about how there is the threat of someone running with the football up the middle. Well, if there's a good interior, you're not going to be able to step up in the pocket too much, and it kind of makes for a perfect, combination there. He'll also try things like this, where he'll go up, one-on-one against a right tackle right here, and watch what he's going to do on this play. As you see, he's going to be going with a spin move to try and get to the inside. He's not afraid to do this, and he honestly is at his best when he is getting around tackles, not necessarily getting through them. Everyone loves a good bull rush, but ultimately only so many guys in the league can pull that off. Sometimes you got to be a little creative in how you get to the quarterback, and that is how Hasson Reddick plays. As you see, he does get through to Dalton and is able to get the sack. And again, when you think about him going to Tampa Bay, you just have to think that this is a good situation because Tampa Bay likes to send defenders from a lot of different areas. You can winning in unconventional ways is exactly what they want out of their pass rushers. This is what Shaq Barrett was amazing at for the years that he was effective and good with them. And this is, another thing that Tampa Bay likes to do a lot that Reddick would be a perfect fit for, where you have multiple interior defensive linemen moving towards their left. Reddick is going to kind of, hopefully the center's blocking the other way and just get a straight shot to the quarterback. Here, it doesn't quite work out that well. The center does pick this up. He's able to, really get in position to block Reddick, but Reddick already has a full head of steam at this point. He's strong enough to power forward and still get to the quarterback for a sack right there. The ball was thrown at the last second, but it was ruled a sack. Really good stuff there from Hasson Reddick. Again, this is what he has been capable of doing with the Philadelphia Eagles, right? He can constantly win in different ways. And if you get him in a situation like this, where it's going to be a tight end who's blocking him, this is actually kind of a famous play because it's a play Brock Purdy gets injured on. But, Todd Bowles will like to send a lot of pressure. You might get some easier matchups. You might get some pass rushers on tight ends, right? Here you see what Reddick can do. Kind of quickly wins that matchup, gets over, and then hits Purdy, and that injured Purdy, and was kind of the end of that game, really. But still, these are just good plays to show that, yes, Hasson Reddick, when he was at his best, wasn't just a really good pass rusher, but was kind of a perfect fit for a Todd Bowles-like scheme. All of this works out perfectly. Here is the issue. He then played for the Jets last year. Let's go over here. If you remember, so to kind of do a quick history lesson for those who might have forgotten, last year he was entering the final year of his deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. He had overperformed in his deal with the Eagles, and he said, you know what? I want an extension if I'm going to continue to play. This isn't exactly a situation where he's just saying, I want a new contract even though I have years left on my deal, but it's also not like he was just a pure free agent either. He did have a year left on his deal, so he was eligible for an extension at that point. They didn't have to just throw away the contract. They could have said, you're playing on this year, but you get another, deal after this. The Eagles, loaded with defensive line talent, said, no, we're not going to do that. We want you to play on the last year of his deal. He said, then trade me. And they said, okay. They traded him to the Jets. When Hasson Reddick got there, he assumed, okay, well, now that you have traded me, clearly you're going to want to work on a new deal with me. The Jets said, wait, what do you mean? You don't want to just play on a one-year deal? Which was a weird decision that the Jets made. Also, yes, they were trading assets to the Eagles, the team that won the Super Bowl. They were sellers and the Jets were buyers. A weird thing happened. But also, you see the play on the screen, you see the player who I've circled. Yes, that is Hasson Reddick. And I have to say, so again, Reddick tried to sit out with the Jets for a while. Ultimately, he said, well, I might as well make some money out of this year. Let me play, let me play some. And quite frankly, it did not go well once he did start playing. But there were too many plays like this where, yes, that is where he is on the field, lined up as really an off-ball linebacker showing as though he's blitzing. That's what he's lined up as. And again, part of me maybe would wonder, okay, could he be good in a role like this? But this isn't like what they were using him as. It just felt like on many of these plays, he was kind of just an afterthought. He wasn't getting a lot of obvious pass rushing situations, which is weird because he's obviously known for being a pass rusher, but he would get a lot of like first and second down situations. Like here you see what the play was, is it's going to be a designed stunt right there, but it never really felt like there was much of a plan on how they were going to use Hasson Reddick. Again, he wasn't there to start the year, and they didn't really utilize him to his strengths. Don't get me wrong, he was still out there enough, and like at a certain point, doesn't matter what situation you're in, you got to find a way to get to the quarterback, but there's no denying that it felt like he was no 2 snaps. He would be doing the same thing back to back. He would be on the bench, and then he'd be, as an edge rusher, and then he'd be as an off-ball linebacker, and then he'd be, somewhere else, right? It just felt like there was constant mixing and matching. And for a guy who so much of his game is, I'm going to try to speed rush, and then I'm going to fake a speed rush and go more over to, for an inside move and kind of establish a tone, him not getting a chance to do that with the Jets, it's not surprising it didn't work out. Now, I do think that there were some issues. It's not fair to say that it's just the Jets. Like, I know some people will jump to that conclusion. Like, again, ultimately, he had plenty of snaps where he was just an edge rusher, had one-on-one matchups, and wasn't as good. Like, that is fair to say. The only real concerning thing I would say, or maybe the most concerning thing, is how much he struggled when he would get chipped. So, tight end's going to block him, and then the tackle's going to finish off the block here. And as you see, this really just does not go well for Reddick, and I really do think that that's something that is a tell. And I think that because he was on, he had the one good year of Arizona where he kind of broke out, then he goes to the Eagles, and they had so many good defensive linemen, you can't put all your resources on Reddick. When we saw teams kind of take Hasson Reddick out of the game, they were successfully able to do so. But ultimately, that can still help, right? Send resources on Reddick. That still means that other guys can now get open, which Tampa Bay needs kind of something like that to happen. So ultimately, watching the Jets tape, again, this could age poorly. I do think that he wasn't put in a very good situation, and I think he could surprise a lot of people this season. I've seen a lot of Tampa Bay fans be more lukewarm on this move, saying, yeah, is that really what we could have done? Could have had a Joey Bosa. I know he has injury issues, but, there's other guys you could have potentially looked towards, but ultimately, I think this is going to work. I could be wrong, but I think this is going to work. But yeah, we'll see if it does. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.